This is the Brain Over Belly podcast, solving the puzzle of obesity with Dr. David Brown of Idaho BMI. Today we meet Efrain and his wife, Victoria. These two have partnered up to create an amazing success story by focusing on the small things and having some laughs along the way. Here's your host, Rick Dunn.
Last time we spoke about the secret to long-term success, doing those small things Dr. Brown teaches his patients over and over and over again until they become second nature. Today we've got Dr. Brown back in studio with us again. Thank you for being here, Dr. Brown.
So great to be here.
We've also got a couple of special guests, Efrain and his wife Victoria, here to share their experience with Dr. Brown and his comprehensive weight loss program. Thank you guys for being here today.
No problem.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you had to road trip a little bit to get here, huh?
Just a little.
A few hours?
Yeah.
No problem?
Yeah.
So, Efrain, you're the patient then.
Yes.
And you have been a patient with Dr. Brown. When was your surgery for bariatric surgery?
I had surgery November 2nd of last year.
November 2nd of last year.
Yeah. So just a little under 11 months.
11 months. Okay. Tell us about your journey a little bit. We want to hear what you got.
Well, I mean, I did try all the diets, keto and stuff like that. And I actually lost about 60 pounds on keto. But just like anything, you stop and I gained back. And then after talking to one of my cousin's fiancés, she's like, your insurance helps you.
Right.
So then the wheels started to turn. I looked into it, and they did. They'll help out for one of the operations. And then we started working towards that, and now we're here.
How, so in the beginning, what was your weight?
I was around 380 before surgery.
And how tall are you?
5'8", 5'8" and a half.
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
Pretty standard. So you were at 380 before the surgery. Mm-hmm. You got some good information that your insurance will help you with this stuff. You started looking into bariatric surgery. Somehow you were connected with Dr. Brown.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you had some kind of consultation with Dr. Brown or a meeting? Or what happened
there? We had one of our meetings because our insurance were supposed to meet about 6 times. Mm-hmm. But I was already working with a different physician to work towards my 6 monthly meetings. Mm-hmm. But I met with him before, and he was kind of pointing me out what kind of to do before and after surgery, mm-hmm. about like eating wise and listening to the body and stuff like that.
And when you were going in to talk to Dr. Brown, what fears did you have? What were you scared of, maybe?
Well, I really didn't have fears, but going into surgery, there's always that possibility. Especially with the big person like mm-hmm. myself, there's always that possibility. But as far as surgery wise, I didn't. It was my wife's more septic than myself. Like, I'll be fine, but yeah. I think that's her job to worry.
So when you went in for surgery, first off, before surgery, you had to go through a process with Dr. Brown, start doing some of the right things before, right? And what were those things, and how did they help you?
Well, along with Dr. Brown, we also had to meet. There's kind of like you got to meet with the psychologist and food dietitian and kind of like that to start prepping yourself to surgery. I guess some people go through depressions because food is their copingnism through things.
Was that the case for you? It was not.
I just liked food.
You just like food?
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I like the taste and whatnot.
I love that.
It wasn't I'm depressed, I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
No, it was just, this looks good, let's eat.
But eventually you got to a point you said, I don't want to weigh 380 pounds. How instrumental was Victoria, your wife, in that?
Well, she's very supportive. She's all, if you want to do this, you can do it. If you don't, I love you no matter what.
So she didn't look at you and say, listen, I'm not feeling it anymore. None of that was going on.
No. And then coming from a Hispanic background, we eat a lot of tortillas, bread,
Tamales.
stuff like that. Yes.
Hey, I love Mexican
And,
food. Yeah.
and my mom being very Mexican, her thing is, hey, come over, eat.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here. What do you want to eat? Oh, I made this. Come eat.
Yes.
You know, that's their mindset. They always got to feed us.
Right.
So, you know, I'd go over, oh, okay, I'll eat this.
So, Victoria, tell us from your standpoint, how did this whole thing go down?
Well, for me, I know that his weight was bothering him more because he was telling me, you know, I go to work, I get tired, like going up and down stairs, and he's just like, and I, you know, sometimes fell out of breath. And I was just like, so maybe, you know, maybe it's the weight. You know, we could try to do something about that, maybe take extra walks and stuff. But like he said, after talking to his cousin's fiance, I was like, maybe that would be a good thing for you because, you know, it just kind of keeps going up and down and it could probably be more beneficial. And so we looked into it and I told him I think the hardest part was going to be, you know, keeping his mindset afterwards, you know, and telling himself, I'm not hungry, you know, so just like stop. But also with his family because they do like to feed everybody.
I don't know how you do that.
And telling them, you know, no, I'm not hungry no more. And I mean, I think now that's still a thing where his mom is always saying like, oh, you didn't eat enough. And he's like, no, I promise I'm full.
Right.
And that's still something we have to tell her all the time.
Dr. Brown, when Efrain came in for the first time, what was your thoughts? What kind of a patient is he? Should we talk about exactly where he's at right now? We probably should, because I'm looking at this guy and he's a beautiful man. I mean, this guy.
I agree.
This guy has done it. What are your thoughts on Efrain and his journey so far?
Just extraordinarily successful. First time meeting him, just nice guy, friendly guy, and listened and seemed interested and engaged. So I'm just super excited for his progress and his success. I'm not shocked. And I just have the best job working with people like him and Victoria.
It's got to feel pretty good when you see a young man do something like this. I don't know how old you are. I'm guessing 20s?
33.
You're 33? See?
Yeah.
Look, you even look younger. You didn't just lose weight, you look younger.
Thank you.
Tell us about some of the hard parts of the journey. What's been the toughest thing for you?
The toughest, like I said, is with my mom. She thinks that I'm not eating enough, Mom, but I don't need the food.
Do you sit her down and say, Mom, listen, I had a problem with eating too much food. I want to lose weight. I want to feel better. I want to be healthier. And so I need you to kind of back off with it a little bit?
Well, even with her, because I do have a Down syndrome little sister. So their main concern is also, hey, and when I was younger, like around 4 or 5-ish, I had some type of heart surgery. I'm not too sure what it was. I mean, I was small. All I know, I went in and they remind me, hey, you already had this problem, so you need to watch lose weight and whatnot.
Sure.
But after surgery, her mentality is still as my mom, eat. And I'm like, Mo, I'm not hungry. I don't eat. But her thing was, he's not eating. But now she's kind of the mindset like, okay, you don't need to eat. And my dad's like, leave him alone. That's what he's doing.
He's on a journey.
Yeah.
He's on a ride here.
Yeah.
Let the guy do it, right?
Yeah.
What would you mind telling us how much you weigh now?
Between about 215. Every once in a while it goes down to 212. But I've been bouncing around there.
So if I do the math right, and I'm not very good with math, what is that, 100 and...
About almost 170, 165.
170 pounds. And it's not just about the weight, though, right?
No. I mean, my job is not super physical, but I do have to walk around up and down stairs. But so, man, at the end of the day, I was out of breath and whatnot. Now it's like, it's no problem.
Hey, Dr. Brown, when I look at Efrain and I see the success in 11 months, this doesn't happen for everybody. Everybody's different. But what has this young man done that is right? Obviously, this is a guy that's setting an example for people that want to go down this road. What, in your opinion, has he done that's really worked?
correct me if I'm wrong, Efrain, but you bought into doing the small things very consistently.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's it. I see this. If someone will do those little things every day, they get to a place pretty quickly that's pretty amazing for them. And so that is what it is. It is the little things that we talk about and what they're eating, when, how they're eating, drinking the water, getting enough sleep. It is the small things.
You do all those things then, Efrain?
Yeah.
The chewing, counting the chewing, are you doing that?
Yes, it's even like with my mom or my mother-in-law, they think I have a problem. They'll be like, "Is he okay?" Because I'll take a bite and I'll just count and ignore them because then I'm like,
because they've taken count. 14 bites the same amount of time you've taken one, right?
Yeah, so like, so they're like, "Is he okay?" And she'll have to remind like my mother-in-law, "No, he's just doing his counts." And sometimes they're like, "Does he not like the food?" It's like, no, he's just doing his counting, his pause, because that way he can listen when he's full.
Right. So you say that depression wasn't a big deal for you?
No.
You didn't care if you were a big guy. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, your wife loves you for who you are. You love your wife for who she is. It was more about being healthy.
Yeah.
And you feel a lot healthier, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel tons better. The energy is out of this world.
He runs every day now.
He runs every day. Probably hard to run when you're 380 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it is.
What are some other examples of how your life has kind of transformed and how you feel better and things that you can do that maybe you couldn't before?
I mean, it's easier to shop.
Yeah?
I mean, I don't have to order. I can go to literally to any store and be like, "Okay, I like this. Let's go."
You have a money problem with that, but
but before it was like, "Oh, I like this, but they don't have my size. Let's look online." But now that's easier. My shoes, they even fit better. I don't. It's just a totally different. Even work-wise, they see a different aspect because. Before I was like, I don't want to do that. But now it's like, oh, we got to do this. Okay.
Have you felt like at work that people were making judgments about you when you were bigger?
No, because, I mean, as I've always been a bigger guy.
Okay.
Throughout my whole life.
So that's just Efrain.
Yeah.
We just know him.
Yeah.
That's how he is.
That's how I've been. Like I was the little brother that was bigger than the bigger brothers.
Yes. Yeah.
So now it's like, hey, I'm the little brother that's actually smaller than the older brothers now.
Have you had other people ask you, how the heck have you done this, or what's going on, or can you help me? I have some issues too.
I like my aunts that I haven't seen for a while. They'd be like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, I got tired, so I went and got surgery." And or at work, they're like, "That works from all." Yeah. And then there's people that like got it and they're like, "Oh," or are thinking about getting it and like, well, I mean, it worked for me.
Right. Victoria, from the standpoint of his beautiful wife, tell me what your journey has been like, because we've had a lot of people that we've been talking to that are either going through the process or just had the surgery. You're 11 months through this process now. But we've never really talked to somebody that's close to this person. And, I mean, you really have gone through this process, too, in a very different way. How has it been for you? What has your journey been like?
So to start out at first, I was kind of nervous for him just because he was like, anything can happen in surgery. And I told him, yeah, that's true. But I feel like, you're going to come out on top of it. It's going to be fine. But I knew there was going to be an adjustment period. And just like how his family is, they're about cooking and eating and being like, oh, we're hungry, let's make something. And it's always a ton of food.
Yeah.
So I've already just had to adjust how much I make because, he doesn't eat very much. And so that was a pretty big adjustment. Sometimes we still struggle with that one. But it's been really good. It's been a good change because before he was always tired. He was always like, I don't really want to go do anything. Or he basically fall asleep almost anywhere. And he's just like, I'm tired. I just don't want to go do anything. And it was hard to get him motivated to do something, you know, outside of the house. And now he's just like, yeah, let's go out here. Let's do this and that. And it's really nice. It's like a refreshing kind of feeling, you know, to see everything he wants to go do. And every day he motivates himself to go running, and he's like, I have to do this today. And he's working up towards like a certain mileage goal. I think you're up to 2 miles now. Yeah, wow. 2 miles a day. And he's like, yeah, I just want to keep going with that. But he has so much more energy. He wants to get up and do everything now. And there's no argument about, oh, you're sleeping too long and you don't want to do nothing.
Do you have a weight goal, or is it more about how you feel, and what is the goal for you? What do you want out of this, Efrain?
I want to let my body tell me, okay, you're done. But I mean, if I can keep losing, I'm gonna keep losing weight and working towards that. I mean,
yeah.
Right now, like I said, at 215-ish, I mean, I feel good. My body.
You look great.
And whatnot. But, I mean, if I can keep losing like another 5 to 10 pounds and my body's okay, keep going, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep following the program. I mean, eating right and listening. When I'm not hungry, don't eat and stuff like that.
Is it hard to... I mean, do you get bored and want to eat food, or how do you keep yourself occupied?
I work 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
So it's easier when I work because I just drink, and it was even an adjustment for my coworkers because they're like, "Oh, let's order food or let's do this," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm okay."
Just to clarify, when he says he just drinks, he's talking about water.
Yeah.
So. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Well, Dr. Brown, what I know last month we talked about checking in on the patients on a long-term basis. So with Efrain, what is that like? How often do you need to see him, and where's he at, and how long do you think you're going to need to be checking in with him? What is that like?
So I want to see Efrain and Victoria forever. In other words, there's never truly an end to it. We just change the frequency of our visits. So typically we'll see people for once a month, give or take, for the first year. And then it depends on how they're doing. And if someone's struggling, we'll continue to see them every month. But for people who are just doing great, we spread it out a little bit. And the guiding idea is that I want to see them as often as is helpful for them. So, yeah, it's just great. I have such a good time seeing people like Efrain succeed.
Yeah.
And how their lives have changed. It's just so fun for me.
I feel like when you walk through a door, it's just like a bright light. I mean, you notice everybody smiles around you. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
They do.
Well, I mean, I've always had a colorful personality, spunky.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what people are like, oh, but my personality has always been the same. Let's have fun. Let's do this. Uh-huh. Yeah, I was tired of this, but I mean, now it's at least a lot easier for my personality to be like, okay, let's do this. Let's go do that. I joke all day. I mean, I think the only time I don't is if I'm actually sick. But, yeah. I mean, that's all I do. I'm a big goofball at home, at work.
Yeah.
I just like to have fun.
This is something that I ask everybody that's going through this process. You're in a different spot because, you know, a lot of these people, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. You've seen that light. You've kind of got there, and you're continuing that journey. What would you say? There's so many people out there that are struggling with weight for so many different problems. And a lot of them are going through depression or anxiety or all sorts of different things. What would you say to those people? Like if one of them was just sitting in front of you right now and just saying, hey, I see you lost 170 pounds. You look amazing. You're smiling. You have energy. You have a beautiful wife and family. And What would you say to that person to encourage them or help them, or what words of wisdom would you have for that person?
One for sure is a big support group. I mean, you can only work so hard, but if you have nobody backing you up, I mean, you're going to fail,
Yeah.
I feel. So I'd make sure you get yourself a good support group, whether it's your brothers, your wife, your next of kin, parents, somebody that helps you, that can motivate you to do it. And then, of course, be like, you need help, I'm here. Talk to the physician, start working towards it. I mean, little changes after talking to the physician does help. So you can start setting your mindset towards it, and then be like, well, look at me, for example. I did it. I'm happy for it. And I tell them, plus your energy will be off the roof. I mean, you'll be a lot happier after you start your journey and continue it.
We often talk about the little things that you have to do outside of the surgery, and we hit on that a little bit: the drinking the water, the proper amount of sleep, chewing, all of those things. We've talked about how when you first start doing those things, it takes a bit of willpower. It's a little bit difficult, and then it eventually becomes easier. Are you far enough along to where that has become easier, or is it still pretty tough for you to do those things?
The water, that's easy. Sometimes, I mean, when you're eating, sometimes you do just tend to under-chew, and you're like, oh, but...
Shoot, I swallowed.
Yeah, it's too early. But it does become second nature to do the chewing, to do the pausing, the little things. I mean, because you're practicing this daily, day after day. And it does become sometimes second nature where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I'll just keep chewing. Sometimes like, oh, okay, I can swallow my food now.
I've chewed it like 400 times.
And but it does, like, the first week it's a struggle, not just because you're recovering from surgery, but your mindset is still like, oh, I should be eating. I mean, it did. Like on my last day before surgery with meeting, he's like, okay, you got to fast. I'm like, I got to fast? He's like, yeah, 5 days. I'm like, what the heck? 5 days? I mean, the first 2 days, it was a struggle. It was like, and then my coworkers are like, oh, we're ordering tacos.
Oh,
like,
no.
Dude, I'm on fasting. I can't eat.
You have mean coworkers.
Yeah. So they're like, I mean, it did take a bit adjusting. And then even after surgery, it's like a month of just keep liquids.
Right.
So it's like, it becomes a habit.
Do you have I don't know if you have this or not, but we've talked about, Dr. Brown, was it a personal power statement? Is that what we've talked about?
Yep.
Do you have that, or have you not come up with that? Kind of a mantra for yourself, something that you tell yourself to keep you on track?
Not really. It's just, I just look at myself in the morning, or else I'm like, you're doing a good job. Keep at it.
Maybe that's it right there, huh?
So, but as far as like telling myself, you got to stay on track. No, I don't know if it's something that I needed the surgery to push me to keep going, but I wake up every day and like, okay.
You feel really good about yourself.
I feel really good.
You should. Dr. Brown, did you want to ask Efrain anything, or his wife?
Has there been anything along this journey that has been surprising for you?
For me, I think the energy-wise, that's a big surprise for me, myself. I mean, I'm a guy that wakes up and the last thing I thought about was exercising. Now it's like, I gotta run my body. Feels different if I don't even exercise a little bit. It's like, and then I have a hard time if I don't burn that energy sleeping. It's like, okay, I have too much energy. What do I do?
That's great, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Now, does your wife have a hard time keeping up with you? You had a hard time keeping up with her before?
No, she does.
She's pretty spunky, huh?
Yeah, she's. Yeah.
We always give everybody an opportunity for some closing thoughts. We'll start with you guys, then we'll wrap it up with Dr. Brown here. Victoria, why don't we start with you? Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to say at all?
I think if you're looking into doing this surgery, I think it's key to, stick to the counting and the water drinking, and just remember that you can have a really good outcome and to stay motivated to reach that point. I think it'd be good for anyone to be healthy and have all that energy and, be proud of themselves for achieving something that great.
Efrain?
I think if you're struggling through weight, this is a very helpful tool, because you can get the surgery, but if you don't actually follow or listen to your body, it'll be a pointless surgery. So, just if you're struggling with weight and I think this is a good thing to do to get it. And then just not only support yourself, but make sure you have people that are helping support you around you. Because, me coming from a big Hispanic family, support is a major thing.
Yeah. Well, and Dr. Brown, that's one thing that he brings to the table is, and we talked about this in the last podcast as well, you can go get bariatric surgery a number of places. But fortunately, you landed with a man that actually knows that it's more about what's going on up here, upstairs, than just eating food. And it just seems like you're doing all the little things, all the right things, and it's so wonderful to see your smiles and meet you guys. And I looked at he showed me a driver's license when he came in here. That's your current driver's license,
yeah.
Right? I don't know how he gets in anywhere because it doesn't look like him at all. Like not even a tiny bit. But that's so incredible, isn't it?
It is.
It's so fun. Dr. Brown, final thoughts. I know you're very proud of Efrain. And
Absolutely. 100%. Congratulations to both of you, really. This has been a team effort. You have a bright future, and it's so fun to watch you succeed.
And if Efrain did it, other people can do it too, can't they?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, you're an inspiration, man. Thank you. And Victoria, thank you so much for coming in as well.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.